Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 250 based on novel. So let's start. This guy, he doesn't take time too seriously. Time unknowingly, after 6 months passed, the ghostly soul child who was not in a hurry also hurried. After all, there is still half a year, and it is time to reach the ratio of Dongju. In addition to going from Icefire Island to Dongju to participate in the ratio of Dongju, it takes a lot of time along the way. If Xiao Yang refuses to leave the customs, if the ratio of Dongju is wrong, I am afraid that their plan will be in vain. What's the hurry? Seeing this, Soul Eater couldn't help shouting angrily. But Gloomy Soul looked at the master of Soul Eater and snorted lightly, but there was no sound. Xiao Yang, this guy is measured. And he won't fall even if he devours the fighting soul and cultivates the 9 transformations of the dragon god. I have a hunch that he will be out soon, said the Lord of Soul Eater. After the two of them finished speaking, they calmed down. The bloodpool on the 5th floor of Icefire Island. It's almost time to change the dragon god number 1 to control. Xiao Yang slowly got up and said quite happily. Half a year ago, I just practiced the first transformation of the dragon god. The first transformation of the dragon god can indeed increase the defense and physical strength, but the duration is limited and there are some drawbacks that Xiao Yang did not find, but fortunately, Xiao Yang did not find it during the nearly half a year. After groping day and night, it was almost the same as turning dragon god number 1 into control. It's time to go too. Xiao Yang got up and tidied up and opened his mouth slightly, but was startled by a movement. The source of this movement was Xiao Yang. Because Xiao Yang's physical strength was quite tyrannical at this time, he did not notice that if he was not careful, a trace of strength would overflow and go out of the blood pool, thus disturbing others. Biology. Who broke into my territory? A roar resounded suddenly, but it only made Xiao Yang's scalp tingle. Obviously, based on the source of the sound, this creature is extremely powerful, isn't it? This soul barrier is about to be broken, and the movement just now disturbed the guardians of the 5th floor. After such a roar, the soul power that originally protected Xiao Yang's hidden figure also dissipated a lot in an instant. There are faint signs of disappearance. And here is the 5th floor of Icefire Island. Xiao Yang doesn't have to think about it to know that the guardians here are definitely not what he can handle now. There is movement. I'll pick him up. He noticed that the soul force protecting Xiao Yang was slowly creeping, and the ghostly soul disappeared immediately. What a human being! What kind of magic trick did you use to infiltrate my territory? The guardian of the 5th floor hid in the dark and roared at Xiao Yang. This guy is so strong. With the spirit barrier that was about to disappear, Xiao Yang did not retreat, but his eyes only became solemn. The guy in front of him, even if his strength broke through the early stage of the 2-star Dozian, it would be extremely difficult to face. Turn it into my food. The guardian on the 5th floor was covered in yellow sand, making it impossible to tell what he looked like. He directly opened his mouth and devoured it towards Xiao Yang. Fight. And when Xiao Yang saw this, he didn't sit still. The first transformation of the dragon god was directly displayed, and even the undead ghost fighting spirit was directly attached to his body. The 2 tyrannical forces were enough not to let Xiao go. Yang was killed in seconds. Sorry, I'm late. An apology slowly appeared, and before the attack of the guardians on the 5th floor arrived, Xiao Yang's figure flickered and disappeared. Damn it. The guardian on the 5th floor obviously didn't know the situation on the 1st floor, so he could only complain helplessly. The undying nether sparrow fighting soul, the first transformation of the dragon god, the strength of the 2-star fighting immortal in the early stage. With so many means, even if you don't use holy flame, you can probably deal with many difficult enemies. It seems that this trip to Icefire Island has yielded a lot. The master of Soul Eater saw the 2 of them appear, and instantly discovered the abnormality on Xiao Yang's body, and smiled at Xiao Yang. Master, the prize is over. Xiao Yang watched the crisis resolved, and then slowly put away the fighting spirit, and the first change of the dragon god was taken back. However, Xiao Yang was secretly delighted. With the addition of the first change of the dragon god, Xiao Yang was afraid that it would be possible for Xiao Yang to truly be able to fight beyond the ranks. Okay, things are pretty much dealt with now, we should go too. The Lord of Soul Eater glanced at the seal that imprisoned the ghost son, and said slowly, Master, are you not saving Senior Ghost Soul? Xiao Yang was a little puzzled when he heard this. After all, Xiao Yang could see it. Ghost Soul is loyal to the Master of Soul Eater, and he is even more powerful at the level of 6-star fighting immortals. With such a tyrannical subordinate, the master of Soul Eater should not die. It's too simple for you to think. Anything whose strength exceeds the strength of the 4-star fighting immortals is recorded in the hands of their respective powers in the 7 realms, and the power of the 6-star fighting immortals like Ghost Soul Sun is not to mention the tyrannical power of the imprisoned seal, and there are many strong people who are secretly vigilant and supervising. Once there is any situation with the seal here, those powerhouses who are hidden in the dark will come as soon as possible. I want to save him and go with me, but those strong men are too difficult for me now. The Lord of Soul Eater shook his head and said, Sir Xiao Yang is interested, but don't worry, after waiting for the master and you to leave, I will use the power given to me by the master to break through the seal, so as to return to Soul-devouring realm and plan this time. Ghost Soul said with a smile. However, this guy Xiao Yang still more or less touched Gloomy Soul. After all, he cared so much about people not long after we met. Well, let's go first. The Lord of Soul Eater nodded solemnly, because he knew that his origin was damaged, and only that thing could be restored, and the next thing, the ratio of East Continent and 4 continents compared, I am afraid it will not be simple. After all, this Yanhunshan is the top territory under Lihunyu. There are many talents here, and it is not easy to win the championship. Respectfully send the master. Ghost Soul's soul power slowly dissipated, and then he watched Xiao Yang and Soul Eater's 2 figures slowly dissipating. And with the fall of this scene, the entire Ice and Fire Island also returned to quiet. I've finally left Icefire Island. The guardians in Icefire Island are too strong. Xiao Yang exited Icefire Island and was directly teleported to the entrance of the altar in Shawu village. He said slowly, Hey, boy, what is this? You have to remember that you are a descendant of the Xiao clan. Although the spirit beasts in Icefire Island are powerful, they are not qualified to guard the gate of the Xiao clan. After leaving Icefire Island, the Soul Eater said with a smile. The next time, there are still half a year, let's go to the East Continent first, I hope time is too late. Xiao Yang nodded to the Lord of Soul Eater, then put it in the collection ring, staring into the distance and said. Xiao Yang was also a little helpless. He had wasted a year and a half in the bloodpool. Although he had gained a lot, if he missed the opportunity to participate in the competition of Dongju, it would be tantamount to losing sesame seeds and watermelons. Just as Xiao Yang slowly paced away from Shawu village a few miles away, there was a shocking scene in the Ice and Fire Island. In half a day, the master and the others should have also left here. After so many years, it's time to leave here. And on the first floor of Icefire Island, a touch of terrifying oppression that shook the world slowly radiated out. Boom. Ice and Fire Island, which was originally very calm, became extremely restless at this time. With this sudden turmoil, the other 9-story guardians and imprisoned villains in Icefire Island all felt that something was wrong. The source of this fluctuation. Could it be the deepest part? A question slowly came out from the prison of wicked people on the 3rd floor of Icefire Island. Earth Monkey, what are you doing? Just when the Earth Monkey had doubts in his heart, the guardian of the 3rd floor directly left his guardian space and came in front of him, shouting loudly. Blue-eyed illusory scale flood dragon, you should take a good look at the 1st and 2nd floors. Those 2 guys are much more dangerous to us, especially the guy on the 1st floor. As for this fluctuation, I'm afraid he sent it. Ha ha ha. Even if the Earth Ape was restrained, it would let out a roar and laughter that shook the sky. Bastard. The blue-eyed phantom scale Jiao heard the words, did not stop, twisted his huge body, and went directly below. These soul beasts have some relationship with the master of the soul, so they are willing to guard the villains here, but the villains on the 1st and 2nd floors are paid special attention by other people. If anything goes wrong, I am afraid they can't even eat and walk around. Golden Feather by Candy, what happened? The blue-eyed phantom scale Jiao came into the space on the 2nd floor and directly roared and asked. The guy on the 1st floor seems to be about to break through the seal. Jin Yu by Candy fluttered her gorgeous wings and floated in its sea of flowers, staring at the space on the lower floor, and said slightly uneasy. Silver-winged flying dragon, what happened? After a while, the guardians of the 2nd and 3rd floors directly broke through the guard space they were in and came to the place where the ghosts were imprisoned on the 1st floor. This guy, I don't know why he broke free of the seal. That seal was set up by the Lord of Li Soul himself, and it is enough to seal the 6-star fighting immortal powerhouse. How could this guy? The silver-winged flying dragon slowly instigated the huge silver-winged, said floating in the void. On the 1st floor at this time, because the seal that imprisoned the ghost sun had been freed by him, everyone appeared directly in the guardian space on the 1st floor. Originally, the silver-winged flying dragon felt that no matter how tyrannical the ghost sun was, he would not be able to break through the seal, but where did he expect that the seal would become vulnerable in front of the ghost sun, and before the combination, humans entered the 10th and 9th layers. I am afraid that the reason why this ghost sun can break through the seal is inseparable from those guys. The guardian space on the first floor is a huge mountain standing in the clouds, and in the center of the mountain, the body of the ghost appears slightly. As for the other three guardians, they stand outside the void of the mountain. Are you all here? Ghost Soul took a slight step so that the three guardians could find him. The three guardians saw that the ghost was full of strange ghosts all over his body. He looked human, with short hair and angular facial features, quite similar to a handsome young man, but the most abrupt one. It is the clothes on the ghost sun's body, and there are skeletons emerging one by one. At first glance, those skeletons are not inlaid, they seem to be innate. This beast must not be allowed to escape, otherwise, the three of us will not be able to explain to the Lord of the Soul. The silver-winged flying dragon said solemnly. The silver-winged flying dragon itself has the blood of the dragon family, and its concentration is higher than that of the blood crystal of the earth dragon, and its strength has reached the level of a human 5-star fighting immortal, but even so, this ghostly soul makes him feel a chill. Hold it down with your hands, I have already sent a signal, as long as the powerhouse from Li Huanyu arrives, this guy can't escape death. The blue-eyed phantom scale Jiao shouted loudly. Illusory scale snake waterfall. The enchanting snake scales of the blue-eyed phantom scale Jiao suddenly burst out, forming a rain of extremely sharp scales in front of it, and then shot directly at the ghostly soul. Don't underestimate this attack. As a snake monster, the blue-eyed illusory scale flood dragon itself is not comparable to Medusa's lineage, but it is also a leader among snake soul beasts, and it is even more powerful than its 4-star fighting fairy. This kind of terrifying attack, I am afraid that the average 4-star fighting immortal will fall sadly. Tianyu Silk Mesh. Jinyu by Candy is different from the two of them. She focuses on defense and imprisonment. The wings behind her body are slowly instigated, and then a powerful force of confinement turns into a sky full of light. The net, covering the ghostly soul, if it is covered by this thing, I am afraid that the power in the body will be imprisoned again. Flame Dragon Breath. The silver-winged flying dragon is different from the two of them. It directly opens its dragon's mouth, and groups of silver flames turn into dragon breath and shoot at the ghostly soul. It seems that the simple dragon breath is the most tyrannical of the three attacks. Because of this guy's tyrannical strength, the dragon breath that he unleashes has vaguely reached the power of Shengyanzihuo. It's just a group of ants. If I was the 5-star fighting immortal when I was imprisoned, I would not be able to deal with you. But now the three of you together are not my opponent. Facing the three people's attacks that were like pressing the bottom of the box, the ghost even there is no fear, nor any defense, as if he wants to take it easily. Gloomy soul, you are too arrogant. The three guardians couldn't help being furious when they noticed that Soul showed such disdainful ignorance. The three guardians of them are the most outstanding existences in the Icefire Island, but in front of the ghostly soul, they are like playing a family. Let me show you guys what real power is. After the ghostly soul finished speaking, a dazzling light suddenly appeared in the palm of his hand, and in this light, if it carried a power that devoured all souls, the most powerful breath. What is that? Although the three guardians' attacks were tyrannical, it would obviously take some time to attack the ghostly soul. It seems like a talisman. The green-eyed phantom scaled Jiao, as a snake, made her aware of the secret in an instant. This is a soul-devouring talisman. Looking at the three tyrannical attacks that were enough to obliterate any 5-star fighting immortals, they slowly dissipated and came to the ghostly soul, but there was no movement, and the next moment was given to the blood talisman. Devoured. Under that mysterious blood talisman, the beast pupil of the silver-winged flying dragon couldn't help shrinking tightly. Bingo. The torment you have suffered over the years, let's get some back from you first. Watching the Soul-Eater talisman swallow the three attacks with ease, then a touch of tyrannical power that combines the three attacks will slowly feed back to the ghost child's body. Ghost soul, annihilated. A roar slowly penetrated the entire inside and outside of Icefire Island, and then an earth-shattering energy beam suddenly exploded from the guardian space on the first floor of Icefire Island. Is this the coercion of a powerhouse above the 5-star fighting immortals? Upon realizing this incomparable, terrifying and destructive power, some villains and guardians on Icefire Island couldn't help trembling. Not good. Rewind. Looking at the attack that was enough to obliterate the three of them, the silver-winged dragon incited its silver-winged wings and fled directly towards the periphery of Icefire Island. It's just a group of ants. If it wasn't for the fear of the powerhouses in Li Soul territory coming, my ghost will kill you today. After the ghost said, the blood-colored soul-devouring talisman was slowly put away, and then the figure disappeared instantly, leaving only the tyrannical destructive power was slowly left on the first floor. Boom! The destruction beam, which gathered the 3 silver-winged flying dragons and the power of the Soul Eater talisman, exploded directly after the ghost left the Icefire Island without being bound. And with such terrifying destructive power, the first floor of Icefire Island was wiped out, and there were even large and small damages. A splendid beam of light suddenly emerged directly from the first floor of Icefire Island, and then ran through the entire piece of heaven and earth. That senior ghost is really terrifying. At this time, Xiao Yan, who had walked dozens of miles away from Icefire Island, turned back and saw that at the altar of Shiwu village, a brilliant beam of destructive energy suddenly penetrated through the whole world, accompanied by such terrifying energy fluctuations. There was a sound of mourning slowly emerging. Xiao Yang asked himself, if he was under such a terrifying attack, he was afraid that he would not be able to escape the fall if he used his whole body. Let's go, since the ghost has left, it's time for us to start the next stop. The Lord of Soul Eater easily noticed the fluctuation, and then said to Xiao Yang, after speaking, Xiao Yang's speed skyrocketed, facing Dawn Continent to go. There are thousands of continents under Li Soul territory, and the territory of each continent is as huge as the Shenling continent. Such a vast territory has just established the hegemony of the 3 domains of Li Soul territory. Master, why don't we step in the air or take a flying soul beast? Then we must go faster and we must walk. Xiao Yang and the Master of Soul Eater slowly walked towards the next stop. Without the guidance of the Hawkeye team, Xiao Yang and the Master of Soul Eater were also not very sensitive to the route, and seemed to have lost their bearings. If you want to die, step into the air. The Soul Eater rolled his eyes at Xiao Yang angrily. The ghost world is no different than the human world. In the ghost world, countless great powers have the power of forbidden space set up in their respective territories, so if you want to walk in the air, it is tantamount to being discovered at the first time, or even sometimes, they will be attacked, so stepping in the air is nothing more than an act of death. As for the flying soul beast, where are you going to find it now? The next moment, the Master of Soul Eater said. Hearing the words of the Master of Soul Eater, Xiao Yang couldn't help being dumbfounded. Obviously, this seems to be the only way now. So I still walk honestly. After all, I vaguely remember that there is a rather huge city not far from Shiwu village, and there is a space teleportation formation in that city. At our speed, we will be able to arrive in a few days, but why is this route a bit wrong? Our top priority now is to go to the city first, and use the space teleportation formation to go to Dongju, which will undoubtedly save a lot of time, said Soul Eater. Lost. Xiao Yang shook his head helplessly. Obviously, after the Soul Eater said so much, it boiled down to being lost. However, I have to say that the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in this ghost world is a spooky ghost. In addition, Xiao Yang has always been carrying the ancient ruler of strange fire, and now walking has actually increased Xiao Yang by a small amount, which can be considered as above is another workout. It seems that I have to find out if there are any businessmen or passers-by nearby, and I don't know what the ratio of this east continent will be. As he walked, Xiao Yang opened his mouth slightly. Obviously, this east continent is one of the 4 continents in the underworld, presumably it's going to be a place of great talent. Don't worry, this genius in eastern continent, although tyrannical, wants to have confidence in you. Soul Eater grinned. Be careful, someone is coming, you may look and try to ask for directions. The next moment, the Soul Eater said slowly, and then went into hiding. Hearing the Master of Soul Eater speak, Xiao Yang slowly released his soul power and tried to find out. With his perception, Xiao Yang also saw the scenes that happened not far away from him. Hey, little lady, you are thin-skinned and tender. If my brothers hurt you because of their ignorance, I'm afraid it will make your sister sad. On a loess slope, there was a team of horses and horses, no more than 4 people. One of the men with a livid face was the first to speak. This head is full of tyrannical aura. In terms of strength, it is much more tyrannical than Xiao Yang. Deacon Yi, why are you talking nonsense with this guy? Just arrest her, otherwise the 3rd young master is still fighting with them. The strength of their Rain sect should not be underestimated, so as to avoid more troubles. The remaining subordinates couldn't help but speak. Go, what do you know? The leader dismounted and walked towards the injured woman. Asshole. If you are wrong to me, my sister and father will definitely not let you go. The injured woman held a rather exquisite dagger in her hand, and her beautiful eyes kept staring at the man who approached her and said, Hee. Deacon Yi, who was the leader of the four, approached the injured woman directly, and then there was a very shameless smile on his face, as if he was planning something dirty. Bang bang. The next moment, the man just came to the injured woman and sank slightly, but the short sword in the injured woman's hand suddenly rose slightly, like a bird with a startled bow. The sharp dagger light was an instant, and a conspicuous scar was drawn on the man's face, and a trace of blood slowly flowed out. Stinky girls, don't eat and drink fine for toasting. Tear off her clothes for me and throw them to feed the soul beast. Deacon Yi was so surprised by the injured woman that he immediately lost other interest and roared directly. Good. When the other three subordinates heard the words, their eyes were filled with a trace of evil, and they dismounted directly to face the injured woman. If their boss doesn't do it, then they have a chance. Anyway, this girl is going to die sooner or later, so it's better for the three of them to be cheaper. Damn. The food the caravan ate yesterday was poisoned by them, and now the grudge in his body is not obeying. Seeing the three men coming towards her with malicious intentions, the injured woman couldn't help but move her eyebrows. Four big men bully a weak woman, and they are not afraid of being laughed at by others. Just when the three men came to the injured woman and were about to succeed, a huge heavy ruler was projected directly in front of the injured woman. The speed was extremely fast, stirring up a lot of lurse, perfectly sanctioning the actions of the three men who... Get out. Aware of this sudden voice, Deacon Yi couldn't help but swept his eyes around, but he didn't find Xiao Yang. This is a detoxification pill. The next moment, Xiao Yang's figure, like a ghost, slowly appeared in front of the injured woman, and then a small exquisite bottle was thrown directly in front of the injured woman, but Xiao Yang's body was in black. Under the cover of the robe, it is difficult to detect the true face. Bang bang bang. Instantly picked up the ancient ruler of different fire, and then the aura in his body condensed on it, and suddenly swept away at the three people who were close at hand in front of him. All of this happened so fast that the three men didn't have any response before they were swept away by Xiao Yang and swept to the ground. There was even an extremely hot aura above the ancient ruler of different fire, which made these three guys unable to get up for a while. Boy, don't mind your own business, otherwise you won't know how you died, Deacon Yi said with a gloomy expression as he watched Xiao Yang defeat his three subordinates so easily. Although the strength of his three subordinates is only 1-star Dongju level, their combat effectiveness should not be underestimated, but who would have thought that the three 1-star Dongju subordinates could not even resist a single move from the guy in front of him? Seeing the injustice on the road, draw your sword to help. Seeing that the three men were defeated in an instant, Xiao Yang put away the ancient ruler of Yihuaheng and said. However, Xiao Yang saw the injustice on the road. He drew his sword to help. He was obviously lost, so he was ready to help. After all, through the power of his soul, Xiao Yang realized that there was some secret in the injured woman. If he wanted to rescue her by himself, it should be simple to ask the root matter. Your Excellency has achieved such strength at such a young age, why don't you join our Kuyajai for a big plan? The man thought for a while and said slightly. Obviously, the strength shown by Xiao Yang is not what he can handle. Maybe it is the young master who came out of a certain big family to experience such a scene. Be careful. This guy is a powerhouse in the middle stage of the 2-star Dongju. The injured woman devoured the detoxification pill directly, and then said something to Xiao Yang. Stop talking nonsense, let's do it. I just want to try a powerhouse in the middle stage of the 2-star Dongju. Xiao Yang ignored this guy and spoke directly, and a majestic fighting spirit emerged. Originally, I have always been dismissive of the routine of heroes saving beauty, but after thinking about it, this is the only good thing. Boy, don't be afraid to flash your tongue when the wind is blowing. Since you want to die, then I will fulfill you. Tulai. Deacon Yi looked at Xiao Yang's extremely arrogant aura, and let out a loud shout, and then the dazzling khaki yellow aura slowly attached to his body. He is an Earth-type powerhouse, his strength has reached the middle stage of 2-star Dongju, and his fighting skills are also quite powerful. Be careful, sir. The injured woman cast a glance at Xiao Yang in black robe, her eyebrows turned slightly. I don't know why, this Xiao Yang's strength hidden under the black robe, he can't even see through it, and there is even a sense of fear, and he doesn't know where it comes from. You can rest in peace, I can deal with this guy. Xiao Yang looked at Deacon Yi who was agitated, without thinking much, and said something to the rear. Xiao Yang is now a fighting spirit, the first change of the dragon god, plus the physical strength is enough to compare with the average 2-star fighting immortal late stage. If even a 2-star fighting immortal mid-stage is unable to deal with it, it would be a big joke. Yentu. Deacon Yi also vaguely felt that Xiao Yang's strength was not bad, so he didn't hold back and shouted loudly. The yellow sand under the feet of those few people directly formed a dazzling rock gun with a size of several dozen meters, with bursts of cold light, roaring towards Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang didn't panic. He gently took off the ancient ruler of Heng Huaheng from his back and held it in his hand. Do Qi also flowed out of his body, and then he stabbed the rock spear suddenly. The gun disintegrated instantly. Fire element. Seeing his tyrannical rock spear being directly broken, Deacon Yi frowned. Obviously, fire can overcome earth, and earth can overcome fire. In the case of mutual attributes, only the level of strength can decide the outcome. Show your true skills. Otherwise, you don't even know how you died. Xiao Yang smiled slowly, but that smile made Deacon Yi chill, because there was a hint of danger in this smile. Boy, don't be too arrogant. Deacon Yi looked at Xiao Yang so arrogant and couldn't help but go berserk. Tu Lai. After drinking, the yellow sand on the ground suddenly slowly condensed under the eyes of Xiao Yang and the two of them. Be careful, this is the top fighting skill of the immortal rank, Rock Giant. The whole body of the Rock Giant is composed of earth attributes. The earth attribute is extremely terrifying in terms of defense. In addition to this fighting skill, the earth consolidates people. The Rock Giant is offensive and defensive. It has no way. The injured woman nodded slightly and said to Xiao Yang. Her own strength is impressively in the early stage of the two-star Dozian, and she is also the one who has the right to speak in the family, but the food they ate yesterday was poisoned by these despicable people now, and they are no match. And this Rock Giant gave her a very heavy feeling just after it appeared. In addition, Xiao Yang took the lead to save her, and the injured woman couldn't help but say, "Don't worry." A smile slowly appeared on Xiao Yang's face hidden under the black robe. This Rock Giant is indeed tyrannical. If it is just relying on its defensive power, I am afraid that ordinary two-star fighting immortals will not be its opponents, but it forgot that it is Xiao Yang that it has to deal with. Bang bang! The Rock Giant just appeared, and suddenly his hands slammed into his chest, letting out a roar that filled the sky, intending to tear Xiao Yang apart. Xiao Yang didn't want to waste time here, so he moved. The Yihuaheng ancient ruler was held directly in his hand, and a dazzling fire-red battle chi emerged, covering Xiao Yang's whole body, like a flame elf, with a very fast speed, heading towards the Rock Giant. The fire attribute, its self-destruction. Rock Giant, tear him apart for me, Deacon Yi said with satisfaction as he looked at the Rock Giant he displayed, without worrying about Xiao Yang's actions at all, because this guy can obliterate a late two-star fighting immortal, an early two-star fighting immortal. In front of his Rock Giant, isn't that boy waiting to die like a weak woman with no strength? This guy is very strong. But that's it. Xiao Yang's figure moved quickly, and the next moment, he came directly in front of the Rock Giant and muttered slightly. Not good. Seeing Xiao Yang approaching the Rock Giant in an instant, as if he wanted to fight the Rock Giant head-on, the injured woman said angrily. No, this guy is here to save me, and he must not be allowed to have an accident. The injured woman looked at Xiao Yang and the Rock Giant facing each other at close range, as if it had already emerged in her mind. The next moment, Xiao Yang was completely photographed by the Rock Giant. Dead situation. Damn, even though I took the antidote pill, my body didn't recover much vindictive chi. The injured woman just wanted to use her vindictive chi to help Xiao Yang, but she had no choice but to give up. If she was in the past, it would only add to Xiao Yang's burden. I hope you don't have an accident. The injured woman clenched her fists slightly and looked at Xiao Yang solemnly, while Xiao Yang was intent on dealing with the Rock Giant in front of him. Naturally he did not know what the injured woman was thinking. It's almost there. Xiao Yang came to the Rock Giant, and then an extremely terrifying wave slowly emanated from the ancient ruler of the eternal fire. That kind of fluctuation is a bit like the taste of moving a ruler. Although the rank of the moving sky ruler is not high, it is practical, whether it is used to divert an attack or an offense, plus it is a combination of offense and defense, so it is very popular with Xiao Yang. Heaven-shifting ruler. In the next instant, the ancient ruler of eternal fire on Xiao Yang's palm suddenly burst into a burst of dazzling suction and flame energy, and then, under the surprised eyes of the injured woman, shot directly at the Rock Giant. Crash! The seemingly invincible Rock Giant just raised his huge palm and was about to slap Xiao Yang to death, but he was enveloped by this 100-jong-sized ruler, and the fiery red battle chi took the lead in destroying the Rock Giant. Its internal structure, the tyrannical attack of the moving sky ruler is attacking, and the combination of the two, the mighty Rock Giant is instantly penetrated, thus turning into boulders and falling down slowly dissipated in this piece of heaven and earth among. How could it be possible? Deacon Yi saw such a scene, A stunned expression slowly appeared in his heart, and then he ran away without hesitation. Where to run? Xiao Yang's soul power spread all over this lurse when he was fighting. Just as Deacon Yi fled, a tyrannical soul attack directly blocked his retreat. Don't let him go. Otherwise, if the news is sent back by him, we will be in big trouble, the injured woman said hurriedly. Damn, what is this? Seeing that his escape was blocked, Deacon Yi couldn't help cursing in a low voice. With a sound, an incomparably huge eternal fire ruler, with bursts of dazzling fiery red flames, completely pierced Deacon Yi's body. No! Deacon Yi, who was just thinking about how to break the of his soul and escape from here, did not find Xiao Yang's fierce attack, and was immediately pierced by the ancient ruler of the different fire, thus losing all his vitality. With Xiao Yang present, soul power and vindictiveness, Deacon Yi had no way out, and was completely obliterated by Xiao Yang without any effort. This guy, so strong. Looking at Deacon Yi, who fell like a dead dog in the sky, the injured woman's beautiful eyes turned slightly, and she couldn't help but glance at Xiao Yang. Deacon Yi actually died. The other three men looked at Deacon Yi, who fell from the sky, couldn't help swallowing a mouthful of saliva, and said slowly. Although Deacon Yi's strength is not the strongest among them, he is also a real two-star fighting immortal mid-stage powerhouse. Even here, he cannot be underestimated, but where did he expect that he would be completely in the hands of a nobody? Fall. Bang bang bang. Xiao Yang was not a soft-hearted person either. Seeing Deacon Yi's figure fall, Yi Huaheng's ancient ruler was pulled out, and with a sudden turn, he immediately wiped out the other three. I still underestimated the anti-shock power of this rock giant. After killing the four of them completely, Xiao Yang slowly landed on the ground and muttered, Are you all right? The injured woman naturally noticed a trace of abnormality in Xiao Yang's body, and immediately asked with concern. It's all right. Xiao Yang said softly, and then Doqi surged in his body, directly burning the bodies of the four without leaving any traces. When the injured woman saw Xiao Yang's actions, she couldn't help but become even more curious about Xiao Yang. After all, having such a tyrannical strength and temperament, it can be seen that the identity of this guy is definitely not low. When you go out and kill the powerhouses of other forces, you must burn their corpses. This is obviously a well-known fact. After all, the people in their forces have soul records in their respective forces. If they don't burn their bodies now, the forces behind them will naturally find them easily, and it will be much more troublesome then. My name is Yu Wei, from Yeqing Yuzhong. I don't know your excellency. The injured woman spoke softly, and a silver bell-like voice sounded slowly. After dealing with the four figures, Xiao Yang carefully began to look at the injured woman in front of him. An inexplicable fragrance slowly radiated from Yu Wei's body. She was wearing a jacket and skirt, showing off her bumpy figure to the fullest. In addition to the strength of the two-star Dozian in the early stage, this Yu Wei might have a high status in the Yu sect. I'm just a nameless person. I went out to travel, but I lost my way. Since the girl is talking about the people of Yeqing Yuzhong, can you guide me? Xiao Yang was wearing a black robe. Naturally, he was not afraid of Yu Wei's recognition. What happened? When I heard that this girl was from Yeqing Yuzhong, I couldn't help being overjoyed. In this radius of hundreds of kilometers, only Yeqing is a large city, and the space teleportation formation is also inhabited in this city. Xiao Yang naturally wants to go to Yeqing to use the space transmission formation to reach the place where the ratio of Dongju is reached. Your Excellency saved me, so it's not enough to lead the way. But Yu Wei Bei bit her lips slightly, looking hesitant. Is there anything else? Xiao Yang turned his head and asked. Your Excellency also went to Yeqing to take the space teleportation formation to Dongju to participate in the ratio of Dongju. The next moment, Yu Wei seemed to have decided something, and asked expectantly. Why, you have to ask about this kind of thing. Xiao Yang was a little unhappy, and obviously had some opinions on Yu Wei. After all, this kind of thing is his own private matter, and there is no need to tell others. No. Your Excellency has misunderstood. There is indeed a space teleportation formation in Yeqing, but recently because there are too many people using it, the space teleportation formation is in chaos and cannot be used. Yu Wei hurriedly explained for fear of Xiao Yang's misunderstanding. No way. Yeqing is the only city closest to him that has a space teleportation formation. If this is broken, I am afraid that just rushing on the road will not keep up with the ratio of Dongju. Xiao Yang was silent. Obviously there was nothing he could do for a while. Your Excellency, don't be discouraged. This time, it's our Yuzhong's turn to manage the space teleportation formation. We have collected materials for repairing the space teleportation formation and are going to return to the city to repair the space teleportation formation. Seeing Xiao Yang's silence, Yue opened her mouth. Is this true? Xiao Yang was slightly overjoyed when he heard the words. However, on the way, I encountered some trouble. Yue said, her voice full of helplessness. For example, these 4 people. Xiao Yang could naturally guess that the Kuya's high power that Deacon Yi mentioned just now might have something to do with the Yuzong mentioned by the woman in front of him. In Yeqing, the 2 most powerful forces are our Yuzong and Kuya's high, and the management rights of space teleportation will be exchanged every 10 years after years of competition. And this year, it happened to be the 2nd year of our Yuzong management period. There was a problem with the space teleportation array when the people of Kuya's high occupied our management period, which forced us to hand over the management rights. We refused, thus causing 2 strengths. Fight openly and secretly. Yue said. This guy, there should be something unspeakable. Xiao Yang couldn't help muttering as he looked at Yue, who told him the details one by one. Obviously, there is no one who will face each other, and it is the person who has completely escaped. This Yue is like this, I am afraid she wants something. And my father, as the sect master of Yuzong, naturally maintains order in Yeqing, and my sister and I went out of the city to collect materials for the repair of the space teleportation formation. On the way back, we encountered the interception of their Kuya's high. Yue said, my sister's life and death are unknown now, I beg you to save her. The materials for repairing the space teleportation array are also on my sister. If something happens to my sister, I'm afraid you can't go to Dongju to participate in the competition. The next moment, Yue's mood was broken, and she faced Xiao Yang with a crying voice. Growled. Ah! Yue, who was fine before, suddenly looked like this, making Xiao Yang a little dumbfounded. Yes, I'm sorry for my rudeness. Yue apologized slightly, and said to Xiao Yang with a tear in her red pupils. It's alright, the medicinal power of the Jeju pill has worked. After a few minutes, the toxins in your body will dissipate. You should restore your vindictive energy first. Xiao Yang said with a smile. Yue nodded lightly when she heard the words, but she felt a little bit of loss in her heart. It seemed that she still looked down on Xiao Yang, and then she could only rely on herself to reply to her vindictiveness. After all, the enemy that my sister had to deal with, but not the middle stage of the 2-star fighting immortals. Your Excellency, if you go straight on this road for 10 miles, you will be able to see Yicheng. I still have something to do. I will not be with you. After Yue finished speaking, the blue vindictive aura appeared slightly, and she hurriedly faced the other opposite. Run in the direction. You're really impatient, let's go together. Xiao Yang shook his head helplessly and said, but he was extremely depressed, so he wouldn't beg for help. Your Excellency is willing to go with me? The sense of loss was instantly replaced by surprise, and then Yue said very excitedly, let's go, I just need to use the space teleportation formation to go to Dongju, so I'm still in a hurry. Xiao Yang said with a smile. But Yue is clear that the man in black robe in front of him has a faint aura that is comparable to a peerless beast. Even an ordinary 2-star fighting immortal mid-stage powerhouse does not have this kind of aura, not to mention that this guy is just a powerhouse in the early stage of 2-star fighting immortals. This video will end here.